Hey you guys, it's Britt. Today we're here to react to some comments about the Happy Caravan channel. And I figured that this would be a good way to update my thoughts and extend the conversation, share what you guys are having to say, and we're going to talk about it. So if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so the video that I posted has almost 4,000 views. It's been up for just over a week. It has 232 likes to 6 dislikes. You can always tell I always get those 6 to 12 dislikes no matter what I talk about. And I know who those people are, but they are better left ignored. So first of all, let's talk about kind of my updated thoughts. I've been continuing to watch Amber and her content over on TikTok sporadically, and there are some things that she does that I really do like. I like that, and I want to really limit the comparisons, despite the fact that they're under the same management company. I want to limit the comparisons. I did think that it was an interesting thing that she shared with Alicia Doherty, the fact that they have the same management company, the fact that they have met up in real life, and the fact that they are both large families. But aside from that, I really want to kind of, more or less focus on what they're doing, despite the fact that they do share some of the same traits. One of the things that Amber does for her family that Alicia doesn't do is she does make sure that they are eating a really well-balanced diet and home-cooked meals. I've even seen her kids join in the kitchen and help prepare some of the foods. It's not on a super consistent basis, but also please keep in mind, I haven't watched all of her videos. This is something new for me, so I'm not super well-versed in what's going on a normal basis. But I do really like that aspect of the home cooked meals. I like the fact that she's not, dropping $2,000 at Wegmans on chips and cereal and junk food. I really like that because let's be honest, like that's the easy thing to do. It's the easy choice to buy a bunch of junk and just fill your kids with junk. But if we're going to talk about kind of the cornerstones of a solid childhood, I know that for me, and I can speak from this because I was a child at one point, obviously, I really enjoyed home cooked meals. And my dad always made it a point to let me try different foods, and he was always preparing the meals. He made a point that I was always eating a little bit from each food group, and those are some of the memories that I cherish. Just being in the kitchen with him and knowing that I always had a good meal to, have at the end of the day. It was just something special. It's one of my favorite memories. The interesting thing that's going on with the Happy Caravan is this idea of busking. And a lot of you guys left really good comments about busking. I'm still 75-25 on it. I see why it's a problem, but then there is that small percentage of me that looks at it, and I don't think that it's the worst version of child exploitation on YouTube. And that's kind of where I reserve that small portion, because they are performing and receiving money. But my reservations come in when we're talking about how do we make sure that the kids are actually getting that money that they're earning and it's not going to pay rent. Because if neither of these parents are working, and we're doing some very simple math here, social media is not going to be able to pay for their 5-bedroom apartment in New York City and all of their expenses, food, bills, health insurance, all of the stuff that comes along with having to, live life, basically. Now, let's go through some of the comments. If you can't afford the kids' extras, you can't afford them. Sending them out busking to pay for them is shocking. These women never fail to amaze me how they can just justify the unjustifiable. 100 pounds a week, fun activities, 12 kids. I don't care if it's going to them or not. This is not right. Neither parent is working. Come on, people. And I do agree with that. I also, the other part of my reservation when it comes to being on board with this idea of busking is that there has to be some kind of influence for all of the kids to be so invested and so entertained by being involved in playing string instruments. I don't know if I necessarily believe that all of them are fully on board with this idea. Is there some kind of influence? Is there some kind of negotiating going on because all the other kids are doing it? So I don't feel 100% good about saying that all of the kids are on board. It's obviously just my personal opinion on things, but moving on. Busking to save money for a new viola is one thing. It must be terrifying for a kid to be playing, knowing it's for their food, a roof over their heads, etc. Even if the kids don't realize, which I highly doubt, especially for the teens, there has got to be tension there that feels scary. Amber's delivery drives me crazy. It doesn't seem genuine at all, and it's just annoying all around. I can't stand it. There is a lot of ignorance, too. One thing that really upset me is she talked about jobs like working in a copy shop and coffee shop as crappy and not having any worth. Yuck. I want to say this because it relates directly to that comment that I just read. If you guys are, whatever your job is, no matter what you do to make money, there is no shame in whatever you do to make money. If it is to provide for your family, provide for yourself, provide for yourself and your pets, whatever it is, there is no shame. If you work at frickin' Taco Bell, if you're a frickin' janitor, if you're an executive for a company, if you're a delivery driver, I don't care what you do. I'm so tired of this, like, oh, they work at the fast food restaurant. Like, what is this? What is this? I would much rather work at a fast food place than be sitting on the couch expecting, my kids to build up my social media presence for me. Just saying. Someone else said, I'm so glad you're finally talking about this family. I don't understand why you wouldn't just get an inflatable mattress to put between the couch and the table for the two boys to sleep instead of sleeping on the floor. They're talking about the trailer when they came here from the West Coast. I also want to add that they didn't have an extra $500 to pay tuition when they had 5 kids. I don't understand why they decided to have more. This is a really good point. Kids are expensive, and I see this a lot, like these parents continuing to have kids, and it's like the more kids you have, the more you have to divvy up all of your money amongst them. And then in this situation, you have 2 parents who aren't even freaking working. I just don't understand how that operates. It seems like social media is she's really putting all of her eggs in the social media basket, and in between the social media basket and her kids busking, it seems that that's the route that she is going to try to go. But I really do worry about the added pressure put on these kids going out of the house to have to do this. I think that responsibilities can be taught to a child age appropriately. And there's no reason why, if you have all of these kids at multiple different age groups, the kids that are 15, 16, 17, there's nothing wrong with those kids going out and getting a job. A part-time job after school is very standard. My issue is the parents should not be sitting in the house using their children for social media in order to pay bills. If the parents want to make parenting content and they're able to make enough without exploiting their kids, and that's the route that they go, bravo, that's good for you. But the problem comes in when you are literally building your entire social media by using your kids. Their faces, their temper tantrums, their growth spurts, all of this stuff that kids go through. That is your content, and that's where it becomes a problem. They need to go get jobs. You do whatever it takes to take care of your children. I find it alarming that the parents don't have jobs. That's not social media. Social media shouldn't be considered a job. I have a little bit of a different stance on that. If social media is paying you and you're not using your kids in order to get clicks and views, I think it's great. I do think that social media can be considered a job, but are you using your kids as that much of your content? Are your kids being cute getting you the clicks and views? That's the question. Next comment, we call busking panhandling here in my neck of the woods. She said, even here in Hillbillyville, no children do this. The parents will be arrested. Nope, nope, no, hell no. And that is valid. Thank you for all the work you do. This entire phenomenon is out of control. Kids need to be allowed to be kids. They have the rest of their lives to worry about money and bills. And I do agree with that. But I think that, you know, obviously age appropriate, teaching them some responsibility and sending them out to get a very small part-time job once they are 15, 16, 17 can be very helpful to kind of teach them how to start to integrate it into society. Having to be on time somewhere and do a job and then they get rewarded with money, I don't think is a bad thing to do. But at the end of the day, the kids should not be the content. They should not be, content should not be focused around the kids. Another comment, busking is just a dressed up way for her to say that they are panhandling their kids. Absolutely disgusting to put such stress on those kids. The fact that they have to busk to pay for stuff could end up tainting their love of playing music. This is very valid, which would be so sad. Amber seems like a lovely lady with her husband, but she has more children than she can afford. I wish them well, but I hope things will change so the children don't lose their childhood to keep their family financially afloat. It's a privilege to work in your preferred field if you have 10 kids and neither parent is working. They are neglectful and exploiting their kids. It's really pathetic on their part not getting jobs wherever they can. This is ridiculous. That's too much weight and responsibility to belong on a child's shoulders. Absolutely not. So sad. The idea of living off the back of my son at the cost of his peace and privacy and safety makes me want to cry. I'm way too passionate about making sure my son knows that I would do anything for him. Why would I take that from him? That's not why I had him. Thank you for bringing up Ryan's World. I hate supporting it. My son is in love with it and gets so angry when I tell him, no, let's find something else. One day I'll be able to make sense of it for him. I'd like to hear honest thoughts from the kids. Do they want this life? Do they want to perform 3 to 4 hours a day and busk? Is this a life they want, or are they being forced? And I think alongside forced, you also have to consider, are they being coerced? Is it not so... Because when I think of being forced, I think of it being aggressive, and it could just be a manipulation tactic. It could be a little bit of guilt. It could be a little bit of shame. And children, I've said this since the inception of my channel, kids want to please the adults that are in their life. Whether it's a sibling, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a family friend, it doesn't matter. And that's why children get into so many really, really messed up situations that they end up either not talking about ever, or they end up talking and healing from as an adult, because they just want to make the adults in their life happy, no matter what that is. And it ends up causing fractured relationships, broken bonds, trauma, stress, and some things that they can never even talk about because they are just that painful. Why do they immediately get excited about management companies? Get a job, dude. Support your family. Stop using your children. This is a really interesting thing, because management companies, to me, like I've said recently, are something that I would avoid at all costs. I would avoid anyone else having their hand out for money that I'm earning on my channel or on my platforms. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't need you to help me get brand deals. Like, I can do that on my own. I don't need you to tell me what the algorithm will already tell me. Maybe it's a little bit of laziness because, granted, it does take a few minutes of research and a little bit of investigating and knowing what it is that is going to perform well for you if that's what you're after. Y'all probably already know, like, I'm here to talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about when I want to talk about it. And I'm not here to necessarily study my analytics on a molecular level. Like, sure, I'm interested in them, but YouTube isn't my job, and I'm just here to make whatever I want to make. But I wouldn't need anyone teaching me about the algorithm and my own analytics. I have access to it myself. Someone else said, this is what I think. You only have the amount of children that you can financially support. What if the 10 children needed braces? You can't have it both ways. Have a massive family and then whine because it costs a lot of money to raise them, or hustle to make things work. And here's the thing. I want to say that I understand that sometimes, people will have kids and they'll be in an okay financial situation and things are smooth sailing, and then something happens where it's a financial downfall. Maybe they go through a separation or a divorce. It's a single parent situation now, and things are not financially secure like they used to be. So I understand that certain things happen, but with this situation, that's not what we're talking about. And that's why I am less patient with seeing both parents not work. Because this isn't something where it's like, oh, well, I get it. Like, divorce sucks, separation sucks, losing jobs, so on and so forth. But the problem here is that both parents are just counting on their kids to make this money. And again, we're supposed to take Amber's word at face value to say the kids get all the money that they busk for and it goes to lessons and instruments. I don't necessarily know if that's true. And you guys know that I have trust issues with influencers. I don't necessarily believe 100% of what any of them say. If we're going to take her word at face value, that's fine. But at the same time, there's also critical thinking skills involved here where it's like the math isn't mathing. And social media, as far as like YouTube and TikTok, cannot be paying them that much to support everything to a point where they can, say, oh, well, all the money from busking goes back to the kids. I just have a lot of questions, and I'm not necessarily fully on board with anything that I've seen from them. I wonder if all the kids actually enjoy playing music or if they've been forced to play an instrument to feed into the parents' delusions. She gives me Micah Stauffer vibes with her sweet voice. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen a comment about Micah in so long. A lot of people have the same opinion that busking is just another word for panhandling. So that seems to be something that a lot of people agree on. At first I wasn't agreeing with you on this, Brit, but I hadn't heard all the details. As per usual, you made excellent points. So the kids make all the money. Something doesn't add up with this family, in my opinion. They couldn't afford stuff with 5 kids, so why have 5 more? And then someone else said, I've been watching their videos since I saw their meetup with Alicia. The trailer was temporary for traveling camping from my understanding, and they have camping pads on the floor. The video that I showed in this video, you could clearly see that the children, a couple of them, were sleeping on the floor. There were no pads, there were no blankets, no nothing, and I showed that in the video. So I don't know what you're talking about. And as far as it being temporary, yes, I acknowledge that. I said this was during their trip from the West Coast to the East Coast when they moved from California to New York. Not everyone grows up with their own bedroom. Why is it a problem that the kids share a room? I used to like your channel, but sometimes now it feels like you exaggerate things so you have content. Whatever, girl. Here's the thing. I didn't exaggerate anything. This is a large family that needs more space. Amber has acknowledged that a few times that I've heard myself. Secondly, as far as kids sharing their bedrooms, nothing wrong with that. But once kids get to a certain age, they should have a space in the house that is their own. And I understand that sometimes that's not possible, but again, like, why are we having so many kids if you're not able to eventually allow them to have their own space in the house? It's just a question. I'm here to react to content. I realize that some people like family vloggers, some of them don't. It's really not that deep. I am reacting to exactly what I'm seeing. I said that it was temporary, and Amber has acknowledged that they need more space as well. It's not that serious. So anyway, guys, I'm going to move on with my day. I hope that you guys have a good one. More content coming. So for now, if you liked the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.